Good afternoon everyone and welcome to another episode of the M Word. My name's Robin, I'm the Technical Director of Man & Machine in the UK and it's a pleasure to have you with us this afternoon. It's been a little while actually since we've broadcast on a Thursday, and for good reason. Those regular viewers amongst you will notice we have a new camera angle, we have some new colours that isn't just a green screen. We've been doing a lot of work here at Man & Machine HQ in Tame in Oxfordshire. And a lot of renovation work. So at the moment we're doing renovation to our offices, to our meeting rooms, our training rooms, and our recording studio as well. I'm going to attempt to give you a tour in a second because I've got a new snazzy camera which will do things. If it goes wrong, I apologise, but it might do. But anyway, welcome back, new look and feel, but hopefully the same kind of content. So for those of you that are new, maybe to these sessions, just check us out on the different social medias. So follow us on LinkedIn, like us on Facebook, and certainly check out our YouTube channel. The whole idea for these videos is a weekly tips, tricks, what's new, or workflow, whether it's construction industry, manufacturing industry, something that we hope you'll find useful, typically in and around the Autodesk products. The idea is that we can have a cup of tea. Today sponsored by my friend R2D2. We can have a cup of tea together or a coffee or a fizzy drink, whatever floats your boat, and we can share some different workflows with you which you will hopefully find useful. So feel free to leave us some feedback, give us some commentary, give us a like, subscribe so that you can see when we're live and the different content that we put up, and let us know what you think. Let us know what content that you'd like to see. And alongside these sessions every Thursday, we do regular uploads of longer, more in-depth or deep dive workflows or processes as well. So again, thanks for joining us this afternoon. So before we jump into the demo proper, I'm going to try and do a quick whistle around 360 of our new studio. Not that there's much to see, but it just gives me a chance to use the new toys because it's the first time we've used them, so I'm quite excited. So what I'm going to do is change to a green screen camera, which is that one up there. Hooray! And then I'm going to use said green screen camera to just spin it around the room. Again, just bear with me a second while it does this, and hopefully it'll work. If it doesn't, I apologise. But let me see, what have we got? Pan. Can we pan? Yay! No, that's the wrong way. There's a wall, there's me, we've got some lights. You can't see any of the gear because it's literally just below the camera. But hey ho, good fun. I've turned the tracking off. The next ones of these is try and get it to follow me around the room, which might be quite nice. Probably just a bit gimmicky, but nonetheless, I think it's fun. Hopefully the video is nice and clear and it gives you a better quality view of my overindulged face that's eaten too much over Christmas. But hey ho, nonetheless. So what we're going to look at today is a bit of Autodesk Revit. And the workflow we're going to look at today is it's not necessarily a workflow, we're going to look at a specific tool. So we're going to look at using Autodesk Revit. Let's just go back over there for a minute. We're going to look at using Autodesk Revit to build stairs. So anyone that's new to Revit or has used Revit before might have taken a little bit of time to get used to the stair modeling tools in Revit. I'm going to take you through a few different options, both using the, let's call them off-the-shelf tools to create a staircase, a landing, an L-riser, a spiral riser. And I'm then going to show you how to use some of the more sketch-based tools to create a manual shape of stairs. So hopefully you'll find it useful. We're going to go small and share the screen. Great. So we're inside of Revit. Again, I'm using 2023. I'm looking over there at the camera now. I'm so used to looking at that camera that I'm not used to looking at this one, which I don't even need to look at because it's above my screen, but hey ho. So I'm in Revit 23. It doesn't matter if you're using a newer version of Revit or an older version of Revit. The functionality has kind of been as it is for a little while. So hopefully whether you're on a 19 or a 20 or even older, this workflow should help you. And the stair tools inside of Revit, they take a bit of getting used to, but actually when you've got your head around what it's doing and why, they're fairly straightforward. And I'm going to try and explain them in a way that strips it back and gives you a good understanding of what it does. So from my architecture tool, tab on the ribbon, I'm going to look in the middle and I've got a circulation panel. And on that circulation panel, I've got stairs. So we're going to go ahead and start the staircase tool. And the first thing we're going to do is talk about what this tool is doing and why. So when you construct a building or design a building, you're typically going to work against a set of building regulations to design that space or that environment. So for stairs, for example, you've got minimum and maximum riser heights and depths. You've got things for ramps like the maximum incline and the maximum length of incline before it needs to have a flat surface. And Revit takes all of these kind of rules and regulations and deals with them in its own way. So what we have before we start drawing anything is in our type properties on the left, what we have is some calculation rules in our staircase. So in my instance properties under dimensions here, I've got some basic calculations, and the default set of stairs is going to give me a pretty high. So it's going between level 0 and level 1, which is a desired height of 4 meters in this case. And we're telling it that we want 24 risers. And what it will do is it will calculate that based on the settings for my stairs, it's going to give me an actual riser height of 166.7. If I drop this down and say, do you know what, I want 15 risers, what we'll see is the actual riser height will update. And if I apply those settings by either hitting apply or moving my mouse off that screen, Revit's going to give me a warning and say, hang on a minute, what you've defined is not actually possible with the different rules and regulations that you've specified. So we need to understand what it's doing there and why in order for you to appreciate and set this up in the way that it needs to work. So where we're going to start is here, edit type. And typically my edit type dialog box has gone onto a different screen because it would. Alt space M and then move that across. There we go. That's a great tip, by the way. If any of you lose a dialog box off your screen, hold down the Alt key on your keyboard. And by the way, fantastic keyboards that I'm using in this new room. We've got some 3D connection stuff. So we've got the 3D connection keyboard and the 3D connection mouse, the numpad and a mouse mat, which has been supplied to us by Elmtech. So thank you to Kyle and the rest of the team at Elmtech for supplying those for the room. They're really nice to work with, and specifically from a CAD design perspective, they've got macros and programmable features, really high quality stuff. But anyway, we digress a minute. If you hold down Alt space and hit M, it will allow you to move those dialog boxes that are hidden off screen, just with your arrow keys or with your mouse. So nice tip for you. So once you're in those calculation rules, what we can see is we have a maximum riser height, a maximum tread depth, and a minimum run width. Okay, you can see what it's doing with the calculation rules by hitting edit next to your calculation rules, and you can see what it's doing in the background. Okay, so we can see that it's basically taking 2 times the rise plus 1 times the stair depth equals a value. Okay, so we need to set your maximums and your minimums, and Revit will then do the rest for you. So if I say for the purpose of this, I actually want my maximum riser height to be maybe 190, a little bit closer to 200. I want that to hit apply and OK. And now if I drop my number of risers down to 22 here, you can see that it's met 181. If I drop it to 20, it's at 200. And that's going to go over my 190, therefore it's going to give me the warning. It will still allow you to draw the staircase, but it's just telling you that this is outside of the bounds that you've specified within your properties. If I just simplify this by putting both of these on 250, hit apply and OK, you'll see it drops it down to 16. I can go up quite happily and it will allow that calculation because I'm keeping within my limits. But if I try and go down, it's going to go above my 250 and Revit's going to give me a warning. So always start by going to your type and changing your configuration to match whatever you're doing from a building regs perspective. Again, in this case, I'm happy with 16 or so risers, and that's absolutely fine. Once we're configured and set up, the next thing that we generally need to do is start creating those stairs. And we've got a few ways in which we can do so. We've got, let's call them again, off-the-shelf tools for creating runs and creating landings. And then we've got some sketching tools as well. And I'm not going to go through all of them. Once you've got your head around some of them, they're fairly straightforward. But what we're going to start is run. So I'm going to draw a run of stairs. I can draw a run with a straight line. I can draw a run with a full step spiral, a center end spiral, an L winder, or a U winder. We're going to go through all these options. All of those particular options for drawing stairs will use these options on your options bar that pops up just below your ribbon. And on this option bar, we're basically specifying what part of the staircase are you drawing. In my case right now, the center. Are you wanting to draw that with an offset? And what width would you like to have? And then you've got a simple tick box to say, do you want to have an automatic landing as well when you're creating those stairs? And what that gives you the ability to do is, okay, let's draw the center of the stairs. We don't want an offset, and we want a run width of 1 meter. If I click once in my graphics window, you can see that I then get a staircase or an outline of a staircase attached to my mouse. Snaps in the same way as the wall tool does or the duct tool does, and it allows me to get visual feedback. If I just zoom in a little bit here, we can see that that particular staircase, as I move my mouse upwards and downwards, it's drawing more or less risers. And it's given me a preview at the bottom there to say, you've created 4 and there are 12 remaining. So I can come up and maybe create 5 of them, click my mouse. From that point, I could leave a space. If I leave a gap, because I have automatic landing checked, it's going to create a landing. So if I go ahead and click here, and again start drawing, it'll allow me to go and create all of those stairs. You'll see we can't go beyond the maximum amount of risers that we need. So we can go up to the end here, not be overly accurate, and click our mouse. If we just open a 3D view after accepting this and just tile our windows here in Revit with WT on the keyboard, you can see that from this simple drawing we have 5 risers up, a straight landing, and then the rest of the risers to the top of that level. If we look at our elevation, we're going from level 0 up to level 1. On that staircase, in its properties, you've got the ability to say I want to end with a riser or not. Again, check all of those type properties out first and you can't go wrong. They're fairly easy to work with. Now, using those same functions, we can draw a staircase using existing geometry. So let's just get rid of that one. And what we're going to do is just draw a couple of walls here. So let's just draw a basic wall about there and a basic wall about there. And let's imagine that this is a really nice building that I've put together and I want to trace up these walls to be able to define the staircase. So let's turn on thin line mode so I can see all the different layers of this wall. And from here, let's start our stair tool. Again, I'm going to use the same functionality, but this time I'm going to say that I want to draw my stair using the exterior support left. So the leftmost component on the stairs. From there, I can trace along my plasterboard and draw a certain amount of steps. I can leave a gap, and then I can start tracing along the plasterboard over here to create the end of my stairs. Now, I'm not actually going to accept that because I can see already that's going to cause a problem. I didn't think about this. I've not left a meter gap here to enable me to fit my staircase in. So what we're going to do is just be a little bit lazy and nudge that down a little bit. Don't think badly of me. And then what we're going to do is continue drawing those stairs. So here we go, staircase. Start drawing on the wall, leave a big enough gap, align it with this point here with your tracking, and then start drawing again. Revit will then draw those staircases, or that staircase rather, aligned to the wall. If you want to, when you've got the staircase created, we can customize it or edit it. It's just a family after all. The stair will have railings assigned to it by default. We can select one and change it. So if you had a wall mounted railing that was loaded into your project, you could select that wall mounted railing from the left here. Or we could say, well, we don't want a railing where the wall is, so I'm going to get rid of it. We could select this railing and change it into a glass-filled balustrade, like so. Revit will remodel the stairs as necessary based on your selection. But quite quickly and easily we can start getting these outputs together. Let's show you some more options. So as well as drawing those staircases with straight lines, you can also draw them using spirals. We've got a full step spiral and a center end spiral. If we use a full step spiral, what we'll do is click once to define the center, and then we're moving out to define almost the radius of the internals of that staircase. And again, we can type in there if we want to. So if we wanted that to be 750, for example, we can type that in. What that will do is it will use your rules that you've got in your type selector, and it will come in and it will create that staircase for you, again based on those rules, but around a spiral rather than straight. Okay, so it's less drawing a riser at a time and more specifying, okay, what are the defaults I'm working with and what's the radius that I want to curve these stairs around. If we just do a couple of undos, we can do the same thing with a center end spiral. This time, rather than specifying the radius, we're clicking the center and then we're specifying where that end is going to be. Okay. So again, we're going from here and we can say that we want to have all of them, half of them, quarter of them, and we can have a little bit more control. Okay. So you've got a full step spiral, we'll put all of them in place, and the center ends will let you specify the center and the radius and then the amount of stairs that you're going to have. And again, you could start leaving gaps and getting it to calculate things like that as well, should you want to. And obviously all of these can be used in tandem with one another, should you need them to. The functionality gives you the same result. It's just a slightly different way of working between those two different angled stairs. As well as those, we've also got the ability to place both U-shape and L-shape winders. Again, they're pretty much a pick and click. So we click the L-shape winder, we specify what we're drawing, and we click. We press the tick, and we get that winder placed inside our model. We can do the same thing with the U-shape winder, where we go to the stairs, we go to the U-shape winder, and we place that down, like so. Again, I call them pick and click. It's just going to go in and place them based on that selection. Again, there's not much customization there. They're kind of off the shelf and give you that result that you're after very, very quickly. Not necessarily the most configurable in the world, but it will take your type properties and it will work with them for you. Other options that we have within the staircase tool is the ability to manually then draw a landing and manually then draw your supports. So in my case, when I've drawn my runs, it's placed my supports and my landings on automatically based on whenever I've left the gap. But should you want to draw them manually, you can do so. You can draw a landing based on essentially picking two runs or from a sketch. You can create a support by selecting a line or an edge that makes up an individual run or a landing, and it will place the support onto the end. I'm not going to show those because they're pretty self-explanatory, but it allows you to see the kind of the functionality or the ease of use within these staircases. What most of you will want to do is actually create your own designs, create your own geometry, much like you would if this was in AutoCAD, but then get it to generate 3D stairs based on that geometry. So how would we do that using Revit? So actually the process still is relatively straightforward. We just need to define the right geometry using the right line types in order for it to generate the stairs. So if I go back to the stair tool up the top here, and this time choose the pencil option here, create sketch. All of our rules still exist, okay? So we're still drawing the stairs based on this particular type and these particular rules. So I can come in here and define these as I see fit. And again, let's just say 250 and 250 for the purpose of this. So we're still using that same calculation method here, and it's still going to give me the yes, no, maybe based on what you type in there. Again, it won't stop you generating the stairs or drawing the stairs. It's just going to advise you that they're drawn outside of your parameters. So by choosing create sketch, we basically get a list of geometry tools. So I've got lines, arcs, circles and squares, good old AutoCAD tools here. But then I have, let's call them 3 distinct layers. I have to draw boundary lines using the sketch tools, riser lines using the sketch tools, and the stair path using the sketch tools. So for my boundary, I'm going to keep this simple to start with. We're going to go from here to here. I'm purposely not using any dimensions. I'm doing this really rough and ready. I'm going to draw 2 lines vertically. That's the outermost boundary of my stairs. I could have this going up round a corner just by drawing an L shape, or use a curve to get it to go round in a curve. In this case, nice and simple for now, let's do a straight stair. We then choose risers, and with our risers selected, we go and draw our risers. And every line that we draw, Revit will update to show us how many risers we've got. And I'm going to come on and basically just do this really roughly. This is going to give me a massive set of stairs, but again, for this example, I apologise for the constant banging. Someone seems to be, if you can hear it, intent on slamming the door just outside the room, but we'll let them off because, well, we just will. We'll be nice. We'll be nice. So we're going to draw all these lines in. We could array them, we could copy them. I'm being very lazy today just because I can't be bothered to array them or copy them, to be honest with you. But we're going to come up and just draw these lines. The key here is making sure that you've got those lines on the right layer. Okay, so again, we're using the boundary green layer for the outside, and then we're using the riser layer, the black layer, to control our risers. We can see that we've created 11 and there's 5 remaining. I'm not going to draw all of them. We then have a stair path. We define a start point and an end point for our stairs. If I now press the tick and go and have a look in the 3D view, we can see, although they are massive, they're about 10 meters wide, these stairs, we can see there it's created that staircase for me. Okay. Therefore, because we can draw it using geometry, I can tweak it and customize it in any way that I might see fit. So if I just do a load of undos here, just to save deleting again, and let's be a bit more accurate. So let's draw this one, and let's say that I want that to be 10 meters in length. Let's then say that we're going to draw the other one. We're going to draw with a 1200 offset, and we're going to draw it all the way down. What we're then going to do is we're going to draw our risers, and I'm going to draw one there, and then I'm going to copy this one, finish selection, multiple times, and I'm going to copy this up every 500. It's kind of outside of what I've defined in my type, but again, you'll get the idea when we start drawing. So let's go and draw X amount of these, create a load more, copy multiple times from there to there. What's happened there? Copy from there. Alright, to 500. I thought that's what I typed in. Maybe not. To 500 again. And to 500 again. There we go. So once you get your stair drawn, we can be a bit more specific. So if I take this back to about here, come here. Yes, unjoin. And take this back to about here, unjoin. I can then draw a new boundary line that maybe goes down here, like this. Maybe I'm going to mirror that line around the center there. And maybe I'm going to use trim and extend to extend all of those to there, and trim and extend to extend all of those to there. If I press the tick, my staircase will update, and I'll now have a custom shape to the bottom of that stairs. So all it's doing is it's taking your line work and allowing you to create that staircase completely manually. So if you've got a very specific L winder or U winder or any shape that you're after doing, it's just a case of defining the geometry just like you would in AutoCAD. So we can go up 2 meters, and then we can go to the left 5 meters. We can then offset by 1 meter all of that geometry. We can then create our riser lines that go from here to here. Again, my stairs are massive. I should have been a bit more specific with my dimensions, but you'll have to forgive me, as well as the people knocking the door that's starting to grate on my teeth a little bit, but it's okay. we'll let them off. We'll still let them off. Let's go up to the corner. And then in the corner, we can say that we want to have nice and simply, one there and one there. Make sure that they're not boundaries. How that happened, I don't know. We'll have one here going to the corner. Nice and simple, but you can specify these angles, right? It's just geometry. So draw it the way that you need to draw it, just like you would in AutoCAD or any 2D workflow or just when doing a sketch, okay? Draw those components in the way that you want them. Use the right the right layers for those lines, so the right line types for those lines. And when you've got something that represents what you're after, hit the tick. I haven't always put a stair path in. Let's go from there to there, and from there to there. Tick. What we have now is that L-shaped riser. I need to be a bit more specific with regards to what's going on these supports here. I'd just draw those in manually a little bit better using the support line. But nonetheless, you can come in and create those stairs in any way you need to or in any way you see fit. So the process isn't necessarily difficult. You've just got to get around your head the way in which the types work, set those up to match your building regs so your minimums and maximums are correct. And then either use the off-the-shelf tools to draw a run, leave a gap, draw a run, leave a gap. You've got some L-shaped or U-shaped winders, which I always say they're pretty useless, but they're there if you need to. Or we can come in here and we can do it by a sketch, which gives you a lot more control. And again, you're just drawing the line work, so it's not overly difficult. We don't have time to cover the railings and everything like that today, but on a later session, maybe not next week, we'll probably do something manufacturing-y next week, but maybe the week after we'll look at ramps and railings and show you how we can start working with and controlling those ramps and those railings. But for now, I think that's kind of all I wanted to show inside of Revit. So we'll go back to this camera over here. So yeah, hopefully that was useful and something that you found interesting or beneficial. Hopefully all the gear works. It's a bit echoey in here still. We're still waiting for some acoustic panels for the walls, but hopefully it's working okay. Thank you very much for joining. We'll be back same time next week and the week after and the week after. These are going to get back to a regular occurrence now that we have the room set up. I'll try and give you a better tour next time with the camera not mounted on top of all the gear so you can see the stuff we've got here, because again, ElmTech have supplied us with some fantastic kit. We've got the Dell laptop here, we've got Stream Decks, some monitors, some boom arms and all sorts going on over here. But if you're geeky like me, you might like that. If you're not geeky like me, you probably don't care. But hey ho, I like it, so we'll do it. But yes, thank you very much for joining. Enjoy the rest of your week. Have a good weekend ahead, and we will see you the same time next week. Take care and see you soon. Bye.